Is one of the biggest love triangles in the media business going to resolve this month? Warner Brothers Discovery's board yesterday again unanimously rejected Paramount Skydance's hostile offer of $30 per share for WBD, claiming that Netflix has the better offer as it requires no financing. Investors have until January 21st to accept PSky's $108 billion offer over Netflix's $82 billion offer. Reuters reports that some Warner Brothers Discovery investors are actually a little annoyed here. They're in favor of PSky's CEO David Ellison's bid, citing the better odds that it would pass regulatory muster. Right now, Warner Brothers Discovery is up 2% at $28.90. PSky down 1.5%, Netflix down 1.5%. But what is the next move on the Hollywood chessboard? Kevin Mayer, founder and co-CEO of Candle Media, is here. He was Disney chairman of direct-to-consumer and international. He ran the streaming business. As I said, he's also the former CEO of TikTok. Kevin, what do you anticipate will be the next move? I guess we should start with PSky. Are they going to hike their bid and move it up?
Well, Liz, thanks for having me. Always enjoy being on the show. I would have thought they would have already done that. So it's very interesting the way this is playing out. I think clearly for PSky to win this auction, they're going to have to increase their bid. And I think they will. I think David Ellison and his camp, including Redbird and all the rest, have indicated that by repeatedly saying it's not a best and final offer. So I am expecting, and have expected actually, for there to be a higher offer coming from PSky. A bit surprised that it hasn't come already.
Well, how do they justify, I guess, sort of the substance of a higher offer of more than what they're at the moment? And I say that because they are going for the whole shoot and match, the whole company versus Netflix just buying the streaming and studio business. And when you're talking about the whole business, you're talking about the legacy media channels, the Discovery channels, and everything else, CNN. And so I just wonder, especially considering Versant, which was just spun off from Comcast, that was the cable part of Comcast, it has not traded well. And everybody was looking to the behavior of that stock launching this week as sort of a way to guide what the Warner Brothers Discovery cable stub would be valued at. And everyone was, Warner Brothers Discovery would love to say it's $3. Well, now it looks more like $1. So how does Paramount Skydance justify upping the ante?
Well, you have to look at what the business case is for Paramount Skydance with Warner Brothers Discovery as part of their company. I don't know, I'm not intimately familiar with their financials or the degree of revenue and cost synergies that they anticipate, although I have heard numbers on the cost side as high as to $6 to $7 billion of cost reductions. That adds, if you capitalize that at a normal multiple, that adds a lot of value to their bid. Look, I kind of agree with you. The linear network ecosystem is declining rapidly. It's very hard to pin a value on it that's substantial. Could you get to $3, which is what Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery are assigning to it? I suppose you could play with where the debt's placed. Right now, they're looking at $15 billion of debt moving over to global networks. Could that be something lower? Yes, but then that would impair the value of Warner Brothers Discovery, the studio and streaming service. Look, it's all pretty dynamic. I think that if you ask me, it's a good strategy for Paramount to own this. There's a lot of strategic and industrial logic behind that. They need scale. There's going to be one more scaled player in this space to compete against the likes of Netflix and Amazon and Disney. And there has to be a combination here. The economics are demanding it for sure. Alternatively, Netflix has a good strategic rationale also. They want to have unfettered and guaranteed access to that great set of IP and the video library, both the movie and television side, that Warner Brothers has to feed their ecosystem. It makes sense from both perspectives. Can they up the ante a little bit? I think they're going to have to win.
Content. Remember, content is king. That's your business at Candle Media. You've got Coco Melon, you've got Fauda, all of those great shows under your wing. So talk to me about what would be better for a company like you. I hear from all my scriptwriter friends in Hollywood, they hate both of these. They want it to just make sure that they have more options at a studio than fewer if there was some type of collapse between Warner Brothers and Paramount. So give me a sense of what's better for the content people.
Well, it depends on where you sit and what kind of content you make. On the one hand, if you're a theatrical movie producer and you're depending and you want to access that theatrical movie window around the world, Paramount's probably the better ecosystem bet for that. They are definitely wedded to the theatrical release window. They are less likely to compromise that window in favor of their streaming service, even if they own both streaming services, HBO Max and Paramount Plus. I think that from that perspective, it's a boon for those who really care about such things like how movies are released. On the other hand, that particular deal also comes along with that $6 to $7 billion of synergy that I mentioned earlier. That's nothing but job losses. So if you're looking from the executive ranks and people in the employment ranks, that's taking two redundant sort of infrastructures and putting them into one. I did that with Fox and Disney, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of savings to be had. That is job losses. Unfortunately, that's what it is. On the other hand, Netflix, they don't have a studio right now.
Yeah, I get it.
They don't have a studio. They're going to continue to operate that studio separately. So from that perspective, you still have one extra box.
Kevin, thank you so much. Kevin Mayer.